Good afternoon, just still bang on 12 noon, but technically that is the afternoon. So I'm going with good afternoon, even though it feels like I've just got up and I don't know where the morning's gone to. But hello. If you are here, please do put hello in the comments so I know who I'm talking to. And if you're watching this on catch up, please put in #replay, and it just gives me an idea that you have seen it. And obviously, if you've got any questions, please ask away. It is audience participation. I can see we've got Fo here. She's watching and washing up. So yeah, definitely a multitasking thing for you. So today I want to talk to you about lenses. I tend to find when I'm teaching, lenses come up a lot. Thank you. I'm glad you like my top. Lenses come up a lot and kit comes up a lot, but lenses, we can buy loads of different bodies of cameras, but we then have to choose what we want to do with it, what we're concentrating on. So looking at those lenses makes a difference to how our food is going to be perceived. And that's what we're going to test today in a moment. So I'm going to show you my lenses, why I use my lenses. Then we're going to pop them on the camera and we're going to try them with a little bit of fruit in the background so that we can all visually see what the difference is. Because I know I talk about this a lot, and I talk about I've got this lens, I've got that lens, this does that. I think for us all to visually see this together, let's just go and have a look at it together. So first of all, with my lenses, all my lenses are prime lenses. Prime lenses mean they do not zoom in and out. If I need to get closer to the food, I either have to move my tripod in or tripod out, or I need to put a different lens on my camera. The reason that I just use prime lenses are they are often sharper than zoom lenses. They have wider apertures, so they let in more light, which is beautiful if you're trying not to struggle with ISO. You tend to get a better separation between the food and the background. It just has a much gentler fall off. Hello, Hannah. And it tends to be a lighter and cleaner kind of light because everything's staying in one place. Obviously, without you zooming in and out, there's no distortion and there's no shake on the camera where that zoom lens is. So it does make you have to move a bit more because you physically got to move your body with the tripod in and out. But it is really good to be able to build a recognizable style with your prime lenses. So if you're here and you are looking to buy kit and you're looking to buy lenses, then prime lenses is the way to go. If you already have zoom lenses and you don't want to update your kit at the moment, then if you can find the focal point that works for you and the focal length, that works for you and stick at that and lock your camera, that is something that you can do at the moment. Personally, for me, I was a portrait photographer for 15 years and only used zoom lenses. But when I swapped to food, I changed to all prime lenses because it just enhanced my food so much more than using a zoom lens. Something to think about. Obviously, MPB is fantastic. You can get secondhand lenses. You can try things out. You can see if it's what you want. That works really, really well. So that's the reason that I use prime lenses. So I'm going to just talk you through the lenses now that I've got, and then we'll put them all on the camera and we'll test them with the fruit. This is my 35mm. I'm a Nikon user, so everything I talk about with what I've got here is Nikon. I am not saying that everyone needs a Nikon, but I work in Nikons, just in case you're wondering what I've got here. So this is my 35mm lens, Nikon 35mm lens there. This one is for when I want the whole table, the whole garden, or if I'm doing a flat lay and I'm very close to it, I can use 35mm because that gives me so much distance in the shot. It's unbelievable. The next one we've got, which most people will know about, is a 50, a nifty 50. And this lens is great for seeing what you actually see with your eyes. So the 35mm lens, we're going to see a lot. The 50mm lens is going to be what you kind of see with your own vision. We then have the 85mm lens. So that's going to be bringing us in that little bit closer. And I'm going to just go back through them all in a minute. And then I've got my very heavy 105 macro lens. The millimeter lens number does change for different manufacturers. Mine's a 105 millimeter because it's Nikon. So when we look at those 4 lenses, that is everything that I'm using on a day-to-day basis. The 35mm, great for the whole scene, great for storytelling, great if you want loads of background in it, but it can distort the food if you get too close to it because it's not meant for close-up photography. And it's really good if you want to do overheads and get a little bit closer to them as well. The 50mm lens is very natural looking. It's what we would see through our eyes. It's very balanced, it's very realistic, and it's great all-rounder, hence it's called a nifty 50. And it's pretty easy to compose because, again, you're seeing what your eyes are seeing with that. The downside of the 50mm lens, it can be less dramatic. Because we're not doing anything different than what our eyes see, it can almost be the same as holding up a phone and taking a phone picture because you're getting the same effect with a 50mm lens as you would be if you are holding up your phone to take the same picture. We're not messing about or doing anything clever with those focal lengths with the nifty 50. The 85mm lens, personal favorite of mine. It is on the camera the most for me. The feel of it is more compressed, and it really simplifies the background because it can separate that background to your main hero quite well. The background can appear closer to the subject with how it's compressed as well, but if we're using our exposure triangle right, we can blur that background and make it look beautiful. It is really good for hero shots, and hence why it's on my camera a lot. The downside of the 85mm is that it can sometimes feel too tight, and we either have to take our camera way back if we want to shoot with the 85 or swap to the 50 to get more into the frame. And lastly, the macro lens. The macro lens is fantastic for tight framing, getting really, really close up, all that incredible detail, all the hairs on a raspberry, all the stripes on a mushroom. You can see all the texture and everything as close up as you want to be. And it's beautiful for food when you've got something very small that you want to bring out all the texture and everything with it. Beautiful for garnishes, for herbs. You'll be able to see everything in it. And you can really isolate that hero and just have that in focus. The downside of a macro is that it's very easy to lose the wider story of the set. If you're building something that's a big set, it's not going to give you that story. It's there designed to be on smaller things and a part of the image that is going to be very, very sharp and in focus. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put all 4 of those onto the camera, and we're going to photograph it with the fruit. When we put these onto the camera, I'm purposely using artificial light today so that we don't have to worry about the clouds going in, out, the sun coming in, out. We're going to take the picture, but what is going to happen when we take those pictures is that the light is going to change. The light is going to change, nothing to do with what's happening in the room here. It's because different lenses transmit light differently. And even though we're on the same settings, we might need to go higher or lower with the lights, which is why I want to do it on artificial lighting to show you this. So 2 lenses at the same aperture may not look exactly the same in light, and we may have to get more light into the camera. So there's 2 things that we measure with our lenses of what we're doing here for the light. The f-stop, our aperture, that measures the aperture size of how small or how wide that aperture is when we're taking the photo. We also have the T-stop, and the T-stop measures the actual light transmitted through the lens. That's your T-stop. So this is what's different about the two. One is an aperture that we can control in camera with our exposure triangle. The T-stop is what's measured through the camera with the lens on it. So if you've ever had that moment where you've pondered and gone, I don't know why when I swap my lenses over, the light changes, that's my little bit to geek out on you today. I like a little geeky moment to put that in. So you've never heard of the T-stop. Okay. So if you've got a flash gun photo, you might see that when you put it to use it through the camera, it says things like TTL through the lens. So you've got that kind of thing in there. But the T-stop, yeah, that measures light. It's not something that you would hear people talking about like an f-stop, but it's just to give you an idea with lenses. Okay, let's put the 35mm on the camera and see what we get with that. Just looking after my lenses while I put them on the floor. They are precious, very, very precious. So we've now got the 35mm on the lens. I'm going to pop Lightroom in and get rid of me. And we're now going to take a picture with the 35mm. Going to take one with each lens, and then we can then see what it does. Hi, you've been listening and now you can watch. Fantastic, Susan. Right, let's give this a go. Okay, so that is our 35mm lens. Can you see how much of that background we've got? It looks like it goes on forever. Obviously, you can see all the sides. I'm using a prime lens, so I'm not zooming in. And I purposely don't want to move my camera in. I want to take all 4 lenses from exactly the same position so you can see the difference with the lenses. If anything there, my camera looks slightly wobbly, but I'm not going to touch anything right now. We're going to have a look at all 4 lenses. Right, let's move to the 50mm lens. Gotta look after your lenses, peeps. As I drop it on the floor because I'm so accident prone. Okay, 50mm lens coming up. So that's exciting for me. Look at the difference in the light. So I'm just coming into Lightroom. Oops. So if we look between these two, look at the difference of the light. I have not changed any of the settings. And this is where it's measuring the light down to the aperture and how much light is getting through. Let me just get these back so you can see them exactly the same. Make that one a bit bigger. Oh, doesn't want to play ball, does it? That one goes smaller. So when we look here, we can see this one is nice and light and bright. When we go to the 50mm lens, we haven't got enough light in the camera. So I'm on an aperture there of f6.3. I'm just going to take it down to 5.6 and see if that gives us enough of a difference. It's starting to, but you can see here, we've still got that darkness in the top right corner. So let's try again to see if we can get that where we want it. So that was our 35mm lens. This is our 50, and we've had to go from 6.3 to 5.0 to get the light looking the same. So fascinating. There we go. Right, moving on to the 85mm lens. Let's have a look at that. This should, in theory, make the picture even lighter, but we'll see which way it goes. See what the camera says. Okay, we're on the 85mm now, peeps. Oh, yes, much brighter. So again, nothing has changed on that image. I've still got that at the 5.0 that we needed the 50 at, and this one here is at 6.3. So the only thing I've changed on that is the aperture, only because we didn't get enough light. So now we're starting to see, if we've got the whole picture now, we're missing out the sides on the 50 and the 35. The 30 looks further away. The 50 is coming closer up. The 80 then does a big jump to get to this part here. Do you switch your camera off when changing? No, I didn't, because I didn't want to stop tethering, and it might be a bit naughty, Susan. So no, I didn't. Are you going to tell me off? So this is the 85mm lens. That one is on now. Let's just go for it and put the 105 on and have a look at all four together then. Obviously, with each one of these guys, I am having to get up and decompress the button and move the focus point right over the subject, or I'm going to end up with it out of focus. So if you're wondering why I'm getting up to look through the camera, I've got to reposition my focus points to ensure it's in the sharpest part of the image. Okay. Oh, we've got a lovely dreamy thing going on in the background there. Really dreamy. Okay, so that's our four. Oh, let me just have a look. Fo, do you know why the 35mm and 85 are lighter than the 50? It just depends what the sensor is and how it's reading it, in terms of each individual lens will be set up a different way of how it works. But when this first happened, I couldn't understand why this was happening. Usually longer lenses compress the light and you get shadows and highlights are a lot tighter, and wider lenses often include more light. But obviously 35mm has contradicted that on our little experiment here. And it might be, let me just check actually. Oh no, I thought I'd figured out why. Okay. They are a different sort of lens. The 35mm is a different sort than the others. So it's obviously reading light slightly differently. I don't know all the technicalities. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know the technicalities of why that happens. I am sure there's some great people out there that understand that and are welcome to put that into the comments. I will not be blagging my way through it because I don't know the answer why that happens. All I know is that it does happen when you change your lens, and that's totally normal. Normally, the higher, the closer you are, like the 105 and the 85 should let more light in. As you go down the numbers, it lets less light in. And that's as technical, I think, as we'll go on that one, if that's all right, Fo. So let's have a look at this and go in really close. The macro lens is beautiful. It's done a beautiful separation all the way around the top, but the strawberry is still sharp. The blackberry is still sharp. We can see every hair on that blackberry there, even on the raspberries, which is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Again, something that we might not necessarily see with our own eyes on that one. We've got a big merge of the background. We've got it on the same aperture as the 85 and the 50, but that's the effect we're getting. If we now go to the 85, we're starting to get that blurring on the background. It can't reach the background. But this is why I love the 85. we've still got the sharpness in the Hero. We've still got all the hairs on the blackberries, the seeds on the raspberries, and you can start to see the hairs here. So that's why I find an 85 is on my lens a lot when I want the detail without losing the whole story. So that's our 85. Then if we go to our 50, we look at the background here, and it's a little bit blurry now, but we haven't lost the background. We've still got a lot here. We've got a lot of foreground as well, but I have still got a lot of detail, and that's come from me decompressing the button halfway and moving those focus points right over where I need them to be so that I still get the sharpness in my shot. If I'd have moved the 50mm lens closer to the subject, it's very likely I wouldn't get this same sharpness because I'm just squishing it in too much and the camera's going, no, 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 no. A bit like when you try and read something too close to your eyes, that's what's happening if we do that with a 50mm lens. But because I'm taking it from the same focal length as I have with all the other lenses, we've still got that beautiful sharpness in it, but we've still got a lot of the background here and a lot of the foreground. And then lastly, we've got the 35mm lens. And if you can see now the 35mm lens, we can see all the scratches. You see all the scratches on my backdrop there. Every single one of them is showing in absolute detail because we've got that range going all the way to the back, that we can see all these scratches around it, which I didn't even realize were on there until we looked at this on the 35mm lens. Again, with that focal point, we've got if we look at the fruit from here, it looks quite sharp. If we go in further, now it's woolly. It's woolly around the blackberries. It's woolly around the strawberries. We can still see all the detail, but it's not crisp and sharp like the others. But if we wanted a whole tablescape with things at the background here, this 35mm would behave admirably in being able to do that. So that's the 35. That is the 50. That is the 85. And that is the 105. And this is where I'm alternating and thinking about, what do I want my story to say? How much of my story, or how much is the background going to be part of my story and the dialogue? That helps me choose which lens I'm going to put on the camera. So any questions on that before I stop sharing my screen? If there's anything anyone wants to see on those 4 images. I'll just give that a minute. A little minute. Right, I'll stop sharing. If there is something, I can always go back into that. So if you've got any lens questions, please do jot them down. If you're still here live with me and you've got anything else you want to know about your lenses or why your images aren't sharp or anything to do with the separation with the background, a lot of this is to do with the lens. Now, I'm not saying all of it is to do with the lens. You're obviously working with your aperture, which is giving you that depth of field. So between your lens and your aperture, and potentially then if we're looking at a range of 35mm to 105mm, we're looking at the shutter speed as well, which then conversely brings in the ISO. We've got to be very mindful of our exposure triangle with all of our lenses to get the most out of it. Got to go and give it a try now. Love it, Susan. Love it. Fo, are you suggesting that the longer the lens, the more sharp they're likely to be? The longer the lens in terms of the focal point would be a 35mm lens. So no, it wouldn't be sharp. The shorter of the macro lens is where you're going to get that sharpness. But obviously what I'm suggesting here is that you've got to balance what you're doing with the aperture and your exposure triangle with your lens, because what I've done there is I've just took everything from exactly the same position to show you what those 4 lenses do. Then it's down to you what you're thinking about doing with that. You meant that. Good. I thought you were tricking me to see if I got it the wrong way around. Phew, that is what you meant. But yes, absolutely. That is it. Good job I didn't say it the other way around and totally contradict myself, wasn't it? So have a play. If you've got different lenses and you're not really sure what you should be using them for, do this exercise, set something up and take a photo from exactly the same place and see what that gives you with all of your lenses. Because we've seen already my 35mm isn't behaving the same way as the other 3 lenses. In theory, it should be darker and then get lighter as we get up to the macro. My 35mm didn't play. And when I look at it, it's in a different range than my other lenses. And that's things it's good to know, so you don't feel that you're going crazy on the lenses that you put on your camera. So just to recap then, the 4 lenses that I've got are a 35mm lens, a 50mm lens, an 85mm lens, and I'm Nikon, which is a 105mm macro lens. They are the only 4 lenses that go onto my camera, and dependent on how much of the story I want to get into the set, depends which lens I use. So I hope that exercise has been useful for you today, and it's just giving you an idea visually of when you use one lens and when you use another. So I think that was it for questions. If you have any other questions, please do jot them down. Those of you in my academy, please do ask me back in the academy if there's anything you don't understand. And I will be back same time next week. Oh, and up there, that lovely little QR code takes you to today's newsletter on LinkedIn, and you will be able to read what I've put here. I did the same exercise with a sandwich, and I used all of the lenses with a sandwich, so you can see all 4 of the lenses with the focal point. So if you're thinking about what to have in your sandwich today, do click on that link. It's back to front, sorry. That link, and that will take you to my LinkedIn newsletter, and you can have a little bit of a read about it. You're welcome. Thanks very much, everyone, and see you all soon. Take care. Bye.